Welcome to the future of intermittent fasting. Exhibit A, an apple. Exhibit B, my mouth. Exhibit C, an imaginary watch. Ready, steady, go. I don't think that's gonna work. Back to the drawing board. Yo guys, what is up? Kevin from Lift and Balance here. And I know that intro may have been a little far-reaching, but we are here today to talk about intermittent fasting and how to get going fast. I don't expect this video to be long. I want to focus on some quick hitting steps that you should consider as you're starting this intermittent fasting journey. And if you haven't heard, fasting is pretty good for you, with the potential to make impactful change in glucose control and tolerance, insulin sensitivity and resistance, weight loss and fat loss, manipulating our gene expression to be more beneficial to us, as well as reining in some of those out of control hormones. If you want me to continue, it can also help with reducing inflammation, triggering this cool internal recycling program called autophagy, and has shown benefits for brain and heart health. I think that's a pretty good list and probably the reason why you're here, right? So let's get right to it. Let's start going down to the list. I have 5 tips for you today, maybe 6, I don't remember. First off, just like in anything else, you need to determine your why. Why are you going down this path? Are you looking for weight loss? Are you looking for fat loss? Are you looking to control a metabolic disease or disorder? Are you looking to control your binge eating or just get better sleep? Are you looking to correct a hormone imbalance? Are you just looking to shed a couple of pounds and look better in a swimsuit? Everyone has a different reason, but you need to understand your why, because if you don't have a why and you're just doing it to do it, it's gonna be really hard to sustain when the going gets tough, and then you're gonna be inconsistent and you're not gonna get the maximum benefits, all those biological benefits that I just mentioned before. So define your why, write it down, post it on the wall, tattoo it on your chest, do something. Next, in step number 2, we're gonna do a little reconnaissance on ourselves. So here I want you to baseline yourself. I want you to start to understand your habits. When do you start eating during the day and when do you end your eating for the day? How long is that period? Is it a 12-hour period? Is it a 14-hour period? Is it an 8-hour period? Understand your habits. Then you could correlate that with how long you typically fasting each night. And then once you get your baseline, you're gonna be able to move from there and start to map out your goals. You might be surprised by what you find. You might be like many other Americans out there who eat the second they get up or within 30 minutes of getting up, and also eat within 30 minutes of going to bed. So understand you. Everybody's different, understand you. I'd advise that you spend about a week trying to baseline yourself and understand your habits, so you get the weekdays and you get the weekend. You get the full picture. You can do 2 weeks if you're not ready to jump into anything yet, and just start to understand your habits a little more. One thing that you could focus on is when you eat, are you truly hungry, or are you just pre-programmed to eat? Are you eating just to eat? Are you eating because of an emotion? And you will find that oftentimes we're pre-programmed to eat. So that's a whole different topic. I actually covered it in this video right here. You can check it out. And it goes in a little bit of this psychological aspect of eating and to truly eat when you're hungry. So spend that time, spend that week, spend that 2 weeks, baseline yourself, understand you. Everybody's different. You need to know where you're coming from to get to where you want to get. That's number 2. Number 3, we're still in the planning phase here, but we're getting very, very close to implementing. Now you're going to pick your eating window. And this is where you take all that data you just gathered from the previous 2 steps and you start to map out an eating window that fits your lifestyle. Now I'll touch real quick on typically for intermittent fasting or time restricted feeding. The most popular protocol that people follow, I'd say, is a 16-8. And that's 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of feeding over a 24-hour period. A lot of people like to time this out, starting eating at 12 p.m. or noon, eating until 8 p.m. and then fasting from 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. the next day. Now during the fasting period, you're allowed to have coffee, you're allowed to have tea, but no foods with calories. You're allowed to take your medications and all that stuff. Do what makes you comfortable. You understand you the most. Don't do anything that's gonna make you feel uneasy. So along with 16-8, there's also protocols a little lower. There's 14-10, or you could go higher. You can push the limits with an 18-6 or a 24. You can even do a 1 meal a day. But like I said before, for the very beginning, don't push it. So back to picking your window. Take all that data you gathered, understand your lifestyle. Would you be better off eating earlier in the day or later in the day? Are you more of a dinner person? Are you more of a breakfast person? And then build your eating window around that. Make as little drastic changes as possible, and that's gonna make you more compliant. Some considerations that may weigh into choosing the right eating window is your work schedule, your family time, your exercise, your bed schedule, a whole bunch of things. So again, this depends on you. Just pick a schedule that works for you. And I will add, if you can, you want to stop eating at least 2 hours before bed. This will work wonders for your sleep. As you can see in this video, it is a tip that all the experts recommend. It helps your body focus on regeneration rather than digestion while you're asleep. Now there is some interesting research which I covered in this video about early time restricted feeding. A bunch of research has shown that pushing your eating window earlier in the day has shown even more biological benefits of intermittent fasting. You don't have to do that, it's just some interesting research. It's a cool video. And don't worry, I'm not trying to take dinner away from you. I know we revolve around dinner. It's just some interesting information. Check it out, it'll be linked below too. Dinner's okay, don't worry. Next tip, don't rush. Relax, take it slow. After you baseline yourself, start to incorporate smaller and smaller eating windows over time. There's no rush here. So say you're going on a 12 hours of eating, 12 hours of fasting each day. That's your baseline. Over the next month, start to focus in on shortening your eating window by 30 minutes on each side, condensing it by an hour every month, every few weeks, and slowly but surely you will get there to your desired eating window and starting to reap the benefits of intermittent fasting. Now, you want to have an eating window in mind like we talked about before. So whether it's 8 hours of feeding each day, 6 hours of feeding each day, 10 hours of feeding each day, you want to have something in mind, have a goal, and you could start to shorten it. The longer you fast each day, the more benefits you're going to have. This is a long game. There's no reason to rush into it. You want sustained change, small changes day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year lead to big change. Don't rush it. It is a longevity game. You're playing the long game. Another video, longevity, why you need to pay attention. Up here, link below. Back to intermittent fasting. Next tip, or I'd say more like half a tip. Start to become more intentional with your eating. You're gonna have less time for meals, so make sure that you're getting the most out of those meals. And I don't mean stuff in your face. I mean packing your plate with nutritious food that's gonna nourish you and make you feel great, warm and fuzzy on the inside, and give you the power to perform each day. Eat lots of plants. Eat grass-fed organic meats. Eat wild fish. Things like that. Don't eat a candy bar and drink a soda and follow intermittent fasting. You're not gonna see the results you want. So that was half a tip there. And finally, last tip, tip number 6 or whatever. Plan for life. You shouldn't be so regimented. You need to be a little flexible. You need to be able to deal with things, events, social gatherings outside of your eating window. And when that happens, shift your eating window. Plan ahead. Notice that, hey, I have Sally's birthday party tomorrow night, but my typical window is 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. What I'm gonna do in preparation for that is I'm gonna fast a little longer. Instead of starting my eating window for that particular day at 9 a.m., I'm gonna push it a little more to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Trust me, you'll survive. And then you have that 6 or 8 hour window into the evening where you don't have to just sit there and drool at food the whole time. And the next day, you're right back on your schedule. Bam, simple as that. Don't take yourself too seriously in this. This is a tool. This is a tool to make you healthier, but it doesn't and shouldn't be followed down to the very minute. Be flexible. Be cool with a fuck up here and there. You got one life, you gotta smile, you gotta be happy. Use these tools to make it more efficient and make yourself operate a little better, but don't beat yourself up internally, emotionally for messing up a little bit. You'll get right back on track. No, tell yourself you're gonna be right back on track tomorrow, bam, and when you plan it ahead, It's like nothing happened because it's a planned event. Bam! Psychology 101. So those were the 6 tips. Those are kind of the guidelines that I followed as I got into intermittent fasting. I started that very way, baselining myself and then slowly condensing that window. I used to eat later in the day, then I found out all this research about early time restricted feeding, and I moved that up, and I like that a lot better. You might be different. You need to explore that. But there are so many benefits to intermittent fasting. If you watch this far, I thank you. I hope you give it a go. Always consult with your doctor before you do anything crazy. But just think of this as another investment in you. So, pardon me, but I gotta get back to my 3-second on, 3-second off protocol because I just missed like a couple of thousand seconds filming this, and now I don't even know how to get back on track from that. I gotta call all my high school math teachers and see if they can help. Gotta go.